Hi, welcome to Bookie. To unlock more world-class bestseller, please download our app. Just search for BOOKEY at Apple Store or Google Play. You will get 7 days free trial with more features. Today we will unlock the book Better, A Surgeon's Notes on Performance. There are generally accepted definitions of good in every profession, and for surgeons there is surely no exception. What kind of surgeon can be said to be a good surgeon? For ordinary people, the answer to this question may be something similar to someone who makes a cautious diagnosis and possesses excellent skills of precision. After all, what people require from surgeons is their capability to cure diseases and save lives. However, for one surgeon, the answer goes beyond that. This book is about a surgeon's thoughts on this exact question. He believes that the benevolence is the basis of becoming a surgeon. In order to be an outstanding surgeon, excellent medical skills are far from enough. It is also necessary to possess other qualities. As the title of this book Better suggests, the continuous drive to do better in various aspects of their career is the eternal pursuit of surgeons. The surgeon who came up with this high standard for his colleagues is named Atul Gawande. He has a very impressive resume. He is a professor at Harvard Medical School, the youngest advisor in the Department of Health and Human Services, a key figure in Obama's medical reform policy and a MacArthur Fellow. What is more surprising is that he is not only good at medicine, but also at writing. He is said to be the best writer among surgeons, as seen in the column that he writes for The New Yorker. 3 of his published books are New York Times bestsellers. Atul Gawande wrote down his medical experience and thought process, and turned them into a famous medical trilogy, which has influenced many practitioners in the field. Better, A Surgeon's Notes on Performance is the second book in this 3-book installment. At the time of publication, he was already a professional surgeon, but nevertheless, continued to hold himself to a higher standard. He also encouraged his colleagues to keep pushing themselves to do better and pursue excellence. In this book, Atul Gawande proposes that in order to become excellent, a surgeon will need to not only possess excellent medical skills, but also diligence, the drive to do right, and ingenuity. Today, we will be using the following 3 key concepts and themes to analyze this book together. First of all, surgeons need to be diligent. They need to pay attention to every single important detail in their daily medical activities, and work hard when they are confronting major medical challenges. Second of all, surgeons need to have a heart of integrity. They need to have the sense to do the right thing when they are communicating with patients, or dealing with tough situations. Finally, surgeons need to possess ingenuity. They should have the courage to propose new strategies, and enjoy improving existing medical techniques in practice. Let's look at the first important quality surgeons need to possess: diligence. The definition of diligence in the dictionary is the continuous and earnest effort to accomplish a certain objective. For surgeons, this diligence is not only reflected by the outcome of a single case, but also through every single detail in their medical works. It is the only way to avoid causing additional harm to patients. According to statistics from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, each year, around 2 million Americans suffer from infectious diseases in hospitals, and 90,000 people die as a result. Are you surprised by these numbers? In hospitals, infection prevention and control has always been a very important job. Hospitals will establish a special department of infection prevention and control that is responsible for reducing the infection and contagion of viruses and bacteria in the environment. However, surprisingly, the most difficult part of their job is neither fighting infectious diseases nor dealing with panic among patients. It is to urge the surgeons to do one very small thing: wash their hands regularly. In 1847, a Venetian obstetric surgeon named Semmelweis discovered the horrifying relationship between surgeons' inattention to washing their hands and patients' infection. In the hospital he worked in, around 3,000 mothers gave birth to their children each year. However, more than 20% of them died due to childbed fever, while the number of women who died during home births was only 1%. Semmelweis speculated that the germs were possibly carried around by surgeons. Thus, he asked every surgeon and nurse in his ward to wash their hands with chlorine, and use a nail brush after they were done with one patient. The result of this was evident: the maternal death rate soon dropped to 1%. Unfortunately for Semmelweis, his odd, aggressive, and unpopular approach, coupled with a limited understanding of the spread of germs, led to the eventual failure of his hand-washing program. This issue was again brought to the medical field's attention 20 years later, when a British pioneer surgeon, Lister Reed, proposed the suggestion to exercise surgical sterilization in Lancet, a British medical journal. However, the reality is, even today, it is very difficult to get surgeons to wash their hands regularly. For surgeons, the process of hand washing is not as simple as ours. They must follow a strict procedure in order for it to be effective. The complete process takes at least 1 minute, but every surgeon may have to examine 20 patients an hour. As such, they spend a third of their time washing their hands. What's more, frequent hand washing can cause dermatitis, which can increase the number of bacteria present. As a result, few surgeons are able to stick to this hand washing procedure. In order to reduce infections, the Department of Infection Prevention and Control works very hard and has promoted many new measures. Recently, the use of alcohol gel instead of hand washing in hospitals has been one of the alternatives. It's very convenient in terms of both location placement and use, and it results in positive effects. After the hospital where Atul Gawande worked promoted alcohol gels, the number of medical workers that followed the hand-washing procedure increased from 40% to 70%. However, this rate of compliance is still not enough if we want to reduce the rates of infections in hospitals. In order to solve the issue of infection in hospitals, a surgeon named Lloyd discovered an effective method. It was a simple method that required gathering the related people in hospitals together, such as catering personnel, managers of the building, nurses, surgeons, and patients, to participate in a 30-minute discussion. The point of the discussion was to invite people to offer their solutions to the infection issue. This simple method nevertheless made people change their behavior actively and positively, with nurses reminding surgeons to wash their hands, and physiotherapists reminding their colleagues to wear gloves. After using this method for a year, the hospital's infection rate of MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, a common infection in hospitals, decreased from 9% to 0. The results showed the method to be very effective. Besides being persistent in their daily medical routine and not missing any details, surgeons also need to be diligent and prepare to work hard when they are confronting big challenges. In the history of man's fight against diseases, many surgeons have made sacrifices that are beyond our imagination. In his book, Atul Gawande tells the story of how the World Health Organization, also known as the WHO, fought against polio in India. In 2003, polio, already on the verge of extinction, reappeared again in southern India. The area had terrible hygiene, and routine vaccination were also uncommon. Thus, there was a very high risk for the virus to spread. The WHO immediately organized crews to stop it from spreading by vaccinating children that could potentially be infected. This immunization campaign was huge and urgent. It required 37,000 vaccinators, 40,000 medical supervisors, and 2,000 rental cars. Going door to door, they needed to vaccinate 4.2 million children in only 3 days. As you can imagine, the whole process was very difficult. Atul Gawande traveled to India with a pediatrician from WHO and participated in this campaign. In order to make sure of its success, they had to make detailed vaccination plans, including how to distribute vaccinators, train volunteers, distribute vaccines, store ice bags that were necessary for preserving vaccines, and inform locals about vaccination. Every detail had to be put in place. The team traveled roughly 1,600 kilometers in 3 days, where they had to overcome the lack of supplies to transport and store vaccines. Moreover, they had to confront the skepticism and resistance of local residents, in order to persuade every parent to allow their children to be vaccinated. In the end, despite these difficulties, the campaign was successful. However, the surgeon's work did not end here. On their way home, Atul Gawande asked the pediatrician, "What would you do after the polio is finally extinct?" Without hesitation, the pediatrician replied, "There is still the measles." There is no end to medical challenges. Behind every great success, there is the hard work of a countless number of doctors. When facing around-the-clock and repetitive work, surgeons need to maintain confidence, diligence, and fulfill their duties seriously and cautiously. We now understand the first key quality an outstanding surgeon must possess: diligence. To sum it up, the job of surgeons is closely associated with the safety of a patient's life. As such, they need to be meticulous, starting from small things such as washing their hands, to reminding themselves to take heed of every important detail at all times. In the face of major challenges, doctors need to maintain confidence, diligence, and be prepared to work hard. Today we are just sharing limited Bookie. To unlock more key insights of world-class bestseller, please download our app. Just search for BOOKEY at Apple Store or Google Play. You will get 7 days free trial with more features.